Yeah. Okay, right. So it should be recording my screen. Okay, so I'll do a little bit about me first of all, for those of you that don't know me. I'm sure everyone does. So there's me. This is, I think this was a couple of years ago, and actually this is near where we were just talking about with the walk. This is this is Nuthull Woods, so that's me. This is my little boy Thomas, who is 10. He's going to be 11 next week. So he was 8 there. And then this is lovely Joey. I think he is probably about 12 or 13 there. He's coming up to 15 now. So his birthday's in July. So he's going to be 15 in July. So this is my little family. Me and my two little boys. So I'm not from round here. Everyone always goes, oh, you're not from Glossop Heights. I'm not from Glossop. We've lived in Glossop for about 15 years now. I was actually born in Lincolnshire in a really tiny little village called Woodall Spa, which it always makes me laugh when every now and then I'll say that and someone always goes, oh, I've been there. And it's always just crazy for me because it's such a tiny little village where everyone knows everyone, nothing happens. And it's just kind of a really safe place for kids, but quite boring as you get up and grow up. I'm the eldest of 7. So I've got, let me get this right, I've got 3 sisters, 2 brothers and a half sister. And then in addition to that, my dad's remarried as well, and I've got 3 stepsisters and a stepbrother as well. So it is a big, massive family. We're all really close. We all get on really well. I love all my brothers and sisters to bits. And actually one of the hardest things about this kind of lockdown is, even though I probably wouldn't be seeing them loads because we're all spread all over the place. My nearest sister's in Leeds. Everyone's all over the place. But just even though I probably wouldn't be seeing them, just knowing that I can't physically go and see them is obviously quite hard. One of my sisters is in Hong Kong, so she's the furthest away. I've got family down in London, over in sort of Nottinghamshire, all around there. And as I say, we all get on really, really well, which I didn't realise, but I do now speaking to people, that it's quite unusual for brothers and sisters to get on as well as we all do. So we regularly kind of have like little holidays together and things like that. So yeah, so everyone says I'm quite bossy because I have to be in charge of them and tell them what to do and things like that, but you know. So I moved away when I was 18 to Liverpool to do a degree there. I actually did a degree in architecture, so nothing dog related at all. I love dogs. I'd grown up with dogs. Didn't have a dog of my own at the time, but ended up doing Liverpool and met a Scouser. And then ended up getting married to that Scouser, who is my husband still now. And actually it's our wedding anniversary next week as well as Thomas's birthday. So we moved to Glossop, and one of the first things that we did when we moved to Glossop was we got a dog. So we got Joey. We got him as a puppy at 8 weeks old. And it was something that I'd always wanted to do, but it just wasn't really practical in previous jobs. And when we lived in Liverpool. So the first thing we did, moved to Glossop, lots of lovely countryside, and that was it. We wanted to get a dog straight away. So he was very much our baby. Well, he still is our first baby. And I did loads with him. I did loads and loads of training. He basically became kind of my full-time hobby alongside the job I was doing. So we were going to training classes, doing loads of walking, was meeting new people through him. And it just kind of got to the point where the training side of things was actually, I was spending more time doing training with him than I actually was doing my job. Kind of realised that was actually what I wanted to do. I'd much rather be doing dog training and working with dogs than actually sitting in an office and working in an office. So that was kind of complete career change, complete roundabout from working in an architect's office. I spent some time working in vet nursing, which was nice because I could take Joey to work with me. Someone else has just come in. Hi, Michelle. I could take Joey to work with me, which was lovely. And then I did some training as well as training him. I did some training of myself. And then I set up my training classes. It's 11 years ago now. So it was 2008 I set up my dog training classes. So yeah, so that's kind of how I got here, really. That's how my journey was. I had Thomas about a year after I set up the business. So I kind of set up the business, and then I had him, and then I carried on doing it while he was a baby, and while I was pregnant. One of the reasons that I spent so much time doing training with Joey was because we had a few problems with him. And there was quite a few different things, but one of the main things that we had to work on was that he was quite reactive to other dogs. So I didn't do all the socialization stuff that I should have done with him because I just didn't know any better. So I made a lot of different mistakes with him, and then ended up having to kind of travel around, see lots of other dog trainers in order to work with him on these issues that he was having. And he started off being nervous with other dogs, and he ended up being quite aggressive. So he was that dog that's there on the end of the lead, lunging and barking at other dogs. And this started when he was about 18 months. I did have to spend quite a few years working on it with him, and he did brilliantly, and we worked through it. But I think because I had that problem, for me, I think it kind of, I had to learn about training, because that's, I had to make things right for him. I had to, make things as good as I could for him, really. So yeah, so that's me. Let's move on. Okay, so we're going to talk about what's going on with the lockdown. So we've talked a little bit about it before, about saying I'm missing my family. One of my big challenges, which I know a lot of us are having at the moment, is homeschooling. So we're going from being parents to teachers, aren't we? And that's taking up a lot of time. We're only allowed out once a day, which I know for a lot of us makes us feel a bit claustrophobic. For me, I can't get out and I can't teach my classes. I can't go and see my clients. And obviously we're limiting dog walks. So normally I'd be doing 2 or 3 dog walks a day, and we're only allowed to do 1. And we're not used to this, are we? This isn't something that's ever happened before. We're not really prepared for it. So what I wanted to do after I'd kind of got over the, oh my goodness, what, panic sort of thing, was do something which would help dog owners, would keep me connected to everyone, so I can keep an eye on you and just see what your dogs are doing. Hence how we started the challenge. So we started 2 weeks ago today, which was Easter Monday, the 14-day challenge. And the idea was just to give you some fun ideas to be working on with your dogs. Maybe some fun tricks that you might like doing. You might not like all of it, you might not want to try all of it, but hopefully there's going to be something in there for everyone. And it's absolutely amazed me. You've all done me proud. I think last check we've got about 160 members or something like that. We've got a lot of people that are regularly joining in and engaging. And then this is our beautiful picture that we did on our first week challenge, our thank you to the NHS challenge. Where we've got all of these lovely pictures of doggies, and then this ended up being on the Glossop Chronicle website, and it ended up being in the paper last week as well. At someone, Helen sent me the link to the paper, so it was actually in the paper. So yeah, it was just lovely doing this. It was really, really lovely. It's really kind of transformed the sort of the lockdown situation for me, and hopefully for a lot of other people as well. So moving on, one of the reasons that I wanted to do kind of more trick training and things like that is because from our dog's point of view, everything's a trick. So there's not like obedience, agility, rather, there's not, as far as they're concerned, there's not all of these different things. Training is training, they're learning things. And there's no difference to them between learning a sit and a stay and learning a paw or a weave or learning to jump over a jump or something like that. It's all learning, and if we do it the right way, it's all fun as well. So there shouldn't be anything different between teaching a sit and teaching to go over a jump. It should be fun for both of those things. And we know from humans as well as dogs is that we will learn better if we're having fun as well. So if it is playful and we're enjoying it, we're going to learn better, and it's exactly the same for our dogs as well. So 3 kind of main things that we can do with our dogs during lockdown. So this is focusing on what we can do rather than what we can't do. We can't be taking them out for big long walks. We can't take them out multiple times a day. That's just not one of the things that we can do anymore. But the things that we can do are the things that we've been doing in the group over the last couple of weeks. So first thing, we've got our at-home agility and doggy parkour stuff. We've got training and tricks. And then we've got scent work and food games. So I'm going to talk a bit more about each of these. I'm going to go into a bit more detail with each of these so that we can sort of recap what we've been doing. So first of all, at home agility and doggy parkour. So the first one that we did was the under and over exercise. Now, I'm a big fan of making sure that we can do agility for dogs of all ages and all abilities. I'm not an agility trainer at all by any means. I've never competed in agility. I've done agility with Joey when he was much younger. But for me, agility is about fun rather than competing or being the fastest or anything like that. So I do sometimes get, not complaints, but objections from agility trainers because it's obviously very important and competitive to them, whereas for me it's fun. I think everyone should be able to have a go at agility if they want to and if it's right for their dog. So instead of just doing jumps, we did under and over. So we did over for the older dogs, and then if they're too young to be doing jumping, we can do going under jumps as well, or like Joey, if they're too old to be jumping over things, again, they can be going under as well, and that's really good for confidence building as well. We did the weaving, so we did the weaving between the legs as well. And then there's other kind of ways that we can be a bit creative. So I've been thinking about how we can set up little mini agility courses in our gardens, because I think if this goes any longer, I think that's going to be really helpful. So as well as setting up jumps, we can set up some weaves. We could even set up sort of something similar to a dog walk using a couple of bricks and a plank of wood or something like that. And then once you've got 3 or 4 kind of stations, you can change the direction of things. And that's where it gets quite interesting, is where you can go, instead of going sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going 1 to 3, that to 1, then to 2, then to 4. And you're chopping and changing around. So you can easily spend quite a bit of time doing that. Doggy parkour is similar, but it's just using what you've already got in your garden. So I'm looking at my messy garden now and I'm thinking there's a bit of a pile of sticks, so we could jump over that potentially. There's a chair, so if I had a smaller dog, they could jump up and sit on the chair. There's like a bit of an archway, so they could go up underneath that as well. So doggy parkour is just using what's there already and making it into a bit of an obstacle course. And that's a good one to do when you're out on a walk as well. It's something that I used to do a lot on a walk, just keeping an eye out for what we can use. So that's kind of one thing that I think is really great that we can do during lockdown. And the other thing about this actually is we can do it indoors as well as outdoors. The one thing I would say is if you're doing it indoors, you need to do it on a carpet. You don't want to do it on any kind of surface that's slippery. There needs to be something that they can grip onto. So especially if you've got a puppy or a smaller dog, there's no reason why you can't be kind of setting this up in your living room with, you know, canes, handles of brooms, that sort of thing. If you were going to buy anything, I think a tunnel would be the best thing to buy, because we can't really replicate the tunnel. Everything else we can kind of DIY, but the tunnel we can't really replicate. And you can get dog tunnels on eBay and Amazon for sort of 20 quid, 10 quid. So they're not massively expensive, and you don't need a big one. You don't need a big one at all. Okay, so that's that one. So next we've got our training and tricks. So we did lots of these, and I think for a lot of the dogs, these went down the best. So we did touch, we did targeting, which was getting them to touch their nose to our hands. We did the spin exercise, which I had to demo with Quasi. We did the beg, which some of them got the hang of and some of them didn't. We did the figure of 8 between the legs. And then we could move on. We could add in lots and lots of other things as well. So you kind of, there's no end really to your trick training. So we can teach things like how to do a finish. We can teach how to do a watch. And then inside with that as well, with all the tricks training, is you've got your basics as well, haven't you? You've got your sit and you lie down and you stay. So even if you've only got sort of half a dozen different exercises, again, you can mix and match the order that they're in and do sort of a short 15 to 20 minute training session with your dogs without it getting boring. And I think a lot of the time when people say, like, if I give them something to do and they'll say, oh, well, they can already do that. It doesn't matter that they can already do it. It's nice for them to do something that they already know, because then it gives them that kind of happy buzz, that confident feeling that they're like, yes, brilliant. You've asked me to do a sit. That's nice and easy. I'm going to do that. What's next? Oh, down. Yes, I know that. That's lovely. So it doesn't, just because they know it, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing it. In fact, what I normally recommend is when we're teaching new things, I'd maybe do one new thing, and then I'd go back and do a couple of old things that they know really, really well that are nice and easy, and then go back to something new, because what that does is it just keeps their confidence levels up. So we're not kind of progressively getting harder and harder. Sometimes it's harder, but then sometimes we go back to easy stuff again. I've just realised that I'm doing loads of hand signals, and I don't think you can see me because you're looking at my screen. Okay, so that's our training and our tricks. And then the last one, which again was a big hit, is our scent work and food games. So obviously having a Labrador, this is one of our favourites to do. Joey will work for food even if it's not there to be worked for. You know, as a younger dog, he could sniff food out a mile off. There were many, many occasions when I lost him in people's gardens because he could smell bread on the bird tables in people's gardens, or suet. He was a bit obsessed with suet. So if there was anything like that, he would be off after it. That was always his big distraction, was food. And even as he's got older, his sense of smell hasn't deteriorated in any way at all. He can still sniff food out from a mile off. In fact, I think as his hearing's gone and his eyesight's going, I think his sense of smell is actually getting better almost. So things that we can do with our food, it's all scent work, but it's all slight variations on the same thing. And because we're in lockdown, I think we should be doing this with all of our meals. 2 or 3 times a day, all of our meals should be scent work. None of them should be in bowls. So we can get them following a trail. We can hide stuff for them to find. So we can hide stuff in a room and then kind of send them in to go and sniff it out. You can do hide and seek where you're hiding with the treats, so they've got to find you with the treats. Obviously, we've got loads of kind of activity toys, like we've got our Kongs, I've got the K9 Connectables, that kind of thing. They're brilliant. Snuffle mats are great, and there's loads of ideas for DIY snuffle mats now as well that you can make with things like socks and towels and old clothes and stuff. There's all kinds of different things that we can do. Getting them to sniff out from under a container, and we can actually make that more difficult by getting them to indicate. So say you've got 3 containers, the next step then will be to get to a point where they can tell us which container the treat's under by either putting a paw on it or barking and looking at it or something like that. That's a nice way to progress it. Find it, just throwing treats them to get, and then bowling, which is a little bit like fetch but with treats. So you just throw a treat and then they chase it and then they get to go and get it. So they're all you know, really good ones. You're feeding them anyway. You may as well be doing an activity with them rather than just giving them their food afterwards. So that's kind of our 3 sort of separate areas. So we've got our food activities, we've got our tricks, and we've got our kind of outdoor, more active agility. So why am I telling you all this? And it sounds like a lot. I've talked about a lot of different stuff, and these are the reasons. So replacing our meal times with scent work and food games basically increases the amount of time they're eating for. So a lot of dogs just gobble their food down really quickly without thinking about it, whereas if they're having to work for it as an activity, it means that they're kept busy for longer. So it just means that there's a period of time where they're eating, where they're not thinking of other things to do that they maybe shouldn't be doing, or where they're getting bored. So it just keeps them busy for longer. It also slows them down, which is really good for them. It's not good for them to be gobbling anyway. And it means that mentally they're having to work for it. So it's going to be much more tiring for them mentally to be working for their food through scent work or food games than if they're just getting it from the bowl and then just eating it straight away. The outdoor or indoor DIY agility and doggy parkour, that's a bit more physical. So if you can do, oh, there's an extra D there, sorry about that. If you can do a little session like that every day, that will easily make up for the lack of one of the walks. So if they're still getting 1 walk a day, and then they're getting this as a session, something like this where they're running around the garden and jumping about is easily equal to one of those walks. So physically, that's really going to tire them out. But again, they're still learning. So we're ticking that box of the mental exercise as well. And then doing a little bit of a mini trick training session is going to do a couple of things. It's going to wear them out in the same way that the other 2 do. So it's going to wear them out physically and mentally. It's going to stop them getting bored. And what that means is if they're not getting bored, they're not going to be thinking, right, what shall I do instead? Let's choose something or destroy something, or, you know, do toilet somewhere, something that you don't want them to do. So it's making them less likely to start any problem behaviours. It's also going to make it less likely that any problem behaviours will develop. So things like any anxieties, any stress-related behaviours, anything like that are going to be much less likely to happen if we're keeping them busy with activities like this. So what we're trying to do is kind of, rather than waiting for issues to happen and find that they're starting to be destructive or they're developing separation anxiety or anything like that, we're trying to keep them busy and active and engaged so that we don't have any of these problems in the first place, because it's much, much easier to prevent them than to let them happen and then try and deal with them afterwards. So there's other benefits, and I said at the start that I'd added this sort of subtitling of how this is going to change your dogs forever, because it is. It's not just going to help you during, you know, this lockdown situation. This is going to have a knock-on effect on your dog's lives just generally. So any sort of training or playing that we're doing with them, it helps them see us as a person to listen to, pay attention to, and they're going to be much more likely to do what we're asking them to do as well, because if we ask them to do something and it's going to be something fun and engaging, they're going to think next time we ask them to do something, they're going to expect it to be fun and engaging as well. So they're much more likely to listen to us rather than us just asking them to do something for no reason or nagging them or asking them to do something boring, okay? The other thing is that if they're having fun with us, they'll want to stick around us. So if we're the source of all this fun in terms of play, training, games, activities in the garden, stuff like that, that's going to knock on with your training, because if you're on a walk with them, they're going to be less likely to want to pull on the lead because they want to stay close to you, because that's where the fun happens. Or if you end up letting them off lead, they're going to be much less likely to run off on walks, because for the same reason, they want to stay close to you in case any of these fun activities happen. And obviously, you're going to have to carry on doing these fun activities outside of the house as well as inside of the house, but you'll be doing them anyway. So you may as well kind of carry on doing them outside as well as doing them inside. So there are some really big benefits. And then all of this, as I say, it's going to benefit your training and your relationship with your dog, sort of in the short term now during lockdown, but also when we get back to normal, because you're going to end up with a dog that's much better at listening to you, much more likely to listen to you, much more attentive to you as well. And really, if you can get that attention and focus, that's at the core of all of the training that you do with your dog. When people come to me with problems like lead work or recall or a lot of different things, I'll nearly always say, like, well, does your dog listen to you? And if your dog listens to you, you're 90% of the way there. If your dog doesn't listen to you, that's kind of the biggest chunk of work that you've got to do to start off with. Okay, so a little bit of a summary. So hopefully, what I should say as well is, if anyone's missed out on any of the videos, in the Facebook group, all of the videos are still there. So even though I did the videos live, you can still go back into the Facebook group and recap. So if there's anything here that I've mentioned today, like you're not sure how to teach a spin or a touch or something like that, you can go back into the group and have a scroll through for the videos, and they're there. And what's really nice is that now there's also videos that other people have done as well, demoing the exercises, so you'll be able to see me having a go and other people having a go at it as well. So hopefully that's quite helpful. So to sum up, what the plan is 2 or 3 mealtime activities a day, depending on how often they're fed, plus 20 to 30 minutes of indoor or outdoor agility or doggy parkour per day, plus 20 to 30 minutes of trick training per day. And as I said, that can include your sit, your down, your stay, just your basics, plus your 1 walk a day, equals a happy, settled, tired dog and a happy, more confident and relaxed owner. Because you're going to be able to relax because your dog's relaxed and settled in the evening when you want to chill out, but also you're going to be much more confident when you're taking them out and about for a walk as well. Okay, so how are we doing for time? Okay, I don't think I've got much left. Right, okay, let's do any questions before I go on. So what I'll do is I will come out of the share screen to see if anyone's got any questions. She says. No, not new share. Stop share. Oh, there we go. Stop share. There, okay. Right, there's no questions in the box. Does anyone have any questions about anything that we've talked about so far? Possy's decided to join in. No? No questions. Okay, well, if you think of anything, obviously you can just post it in the group or drop me an email or a text. If you think of anything afterwards, what I'll be doing is I'll be putting this, once I've recorded this, I'll put it up in the group for a replay so that you can watch it again if you want to. Right, let me go back to sharing then. So those of you that have joined late, you'll still be able to watch the full recording, so don't worry, you won't have missed anything. Okay, right, so what I wanted to do is I kind of wanted to tie up what we've done so far, because I'm going to move on to a new challenge tomorrow. Wanted to tie up what we've done so far with a little bit of, oh, now there might be a question. We're still, oh yeah, you are still muted. Thanks, Debbie. Okay, I'll do questions again in a second. I wanted to sort of tie up what we've done so far. So I'm having a go at doing a bit of a new online course based on the kind of stuff that we've been doing in the groups and the feedback that I've got and what we've been talking about. So I'm doing a little lockdown course called Housebound and Happy Hound. So the idea with the course is it's going to be building on what we've already done in the group. So it's going to be trick training, scent work, at-home agility, DIY doggy parkour and that kind of thing. The way that the course is going to run is obviously we're doing it all remotely. So it's going to be a 6-week course. Each week, what we'll do is we'll do like a kind of a half an hour sort of 45-minute session where it's a video call, and I'll chat you through your challenges for that week, and then we'll have time for questions and answers as well. And I've been using Google Classroom, but we might do it via a Facebook group instead. So what I'm probably going to do is have a separate specific Facebook group just for the people that are on this course, so we can upload videos and things and I can give feedback on there as well. So we can either do that via Facebook or Google Classrooms, and then that way I can share the handouts and all the feedback and things like that on there. So the course, as I say, 6-week course, and that's all of your handouts and everything included in that, and your videos and things and your feedback. So what I'm going to do is for the next 2 days, so well, it'll be today as well, today, tomorrow and Wednesday, I'm going to do it half price for everyone that's in the group. So I will post it in the group as well afterwards. There's going to be, I think I'm going to try and keep it sort of 8 to 10 dogs. So I'm not going to have loads and loads of dogs in there, but it'll be more than a normal group class because most of you you're not necessarily beginners. You know what you're doing sort of thing already. So you can go on to, this is bookable on the Contented Canines training website rather than the Puppy Nanny website. So if you want to have a little look at that, feel free. There's a little bit more information on there about how the course is going to work and what we're going to cover. The feedback that I've been having from people so far about the online stuff is really positive. I know it's not the same as getting out and about, but there's no reason why we can't keep doing stuff with our dogs, even though we are in lockdown. So that's kind of the next step for everybody. The plan for tomorrow and then for the next 14 days is that we're going to be concentrating a little bit more on socialisation and confidence building. So it's going to be a little bit more geared a bit more towards puppies and younger dogs, but it doesn't mean that it won't be relevant for older dogs as well. You'll still get something out of it for older dogs. So we're going to start that tomorrow. So it's going to be a bit of a kind of socialisation, confidence building challenge starting in the group tomorrow. I have got, I know none of you have got puppies, I have got puppy courses starting as well. I'm still doing online puppy courses. I've got one on a Tuesday night, and then I'm starting one on a Thursday night a week on Thursday, I think. Because obviously if people are getting puppies, people are thinking, they're at home, so they're thinking, oh, well, I'll get a puppy, this is a good time because I'm at home. But obviously you don't want to miss out on that training until you're allowed to kind of go back to normal. So let me just see. Right, I think that's that. So I'll stop sharing and then I'll go back to it and then I'll check for questions again. Right, let me unmute everyone. Unmute all. There we go. Okay, right, I can hear you all now. Okay, that's that, I'm done. Any more questions from anyone?
No, nothing on Jez.
I can hear someone's like domestic going on in the background. We've had a few people have like come in late and then leave or leave early. So as I say, what I'll do is I'll make sure that, because this is recorded, so I'll figure out that I'll be able to upload it onto the group and you'll be able to see it, won't you? I can hear someone's got like some lovely bird song in the background.
No, I can hear the bird song.
Who is it? Who's got lovely birds in the background?
It's not me.
It's very nice. It's very nice. So what I'll do is I will post a link to that course in the group, so you've got that. So and then that'll be it for today. And I'll post this as a replay. With the videos that we're doing, I'm giving people a bit of time to get them back to me. So what the plan is. For those of you that haven't seen, we did the last challenge in the group yesterday is a video challenge, and then the plan is that I'm going to try and stitch all of the videos together so it's one nice overall video. But I'm just giving people plenty of time to get the videos in, and I've not done my own video yet, which I need to do. And it just, I know, I'm so sorry. I was doing this. So I'm going to give people time to do it, and then so my aim is that we'll have the video by the end of the week, and I've got to pick some music to go with it as well, which will probably take me absolutely ages. Probably spend more time picking the music than actually stitching the video together. So yeah, so hopefully by the end of the week we'll all be able to have a look at that as well and see the video. So yeah, so hopefully I'll see you all in the group tomorrow. So it'll be same sort of time for the kind of the socialisation, confidence building type challenge. As I say, if anyone's got any questions or anything, just let me know. And I will see you in the group, and I'll see you tomorrow as well. Okay.
Hi Nicola, can I just ask you a question, hon?
Yes, yeah, of course you can, go for it.
So the socialisation class, is that different to the class that's on special offer for 2 days?
The puppy class.
Yeah, well,
So
puppies and young dogs.
Okay, so I've got two classes. How old is your dog?
She's 3. 3.
Okay, we've got 2 classes. So I've got the puppy one, which is like specifically for puppies under 6 months, so for really, really tiny puppies.
Right.
And then the one that's on special offer is for dogs of all ages, basically.
Right.
So that's
and
people
does that
with
include
all older dogs? Sorry,
right? Does that include socialisation?
It doesn't include socialisation,
right.
But if you're in the Facebook group, that's what we're starting tomorrow.
Okay.
Are you in the Facebook group?
I'm not too sure. I get emails from you,
right?
But I'm not too. I might be, but
well, if you're not, I can always kind of send you links via email if that's easier for you, because the plan is going to be that like starting tomorrow there'll be like some sort of like socialisation challenge or like a confidence building type challenge, and there'll be a little video to go with each of it. So what I could potentially do is, if I know you're having difficulty getting into the group, I can email you the video instead so that you've got it that way.
Oh, right. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so that might be helpful for you.
Okay. Well, like I said, you send me emails all the time, and I've seen you on YouTube as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're on the YouTube ones. I mean, what I'll do as well is you'll all... if you're in my mailing list anyway, I kind of regularly post the emails with the link to the Facebook group as well. So you'll be able to just click on the link in the email, and that'll take you through to the Facebook group then.
Okay. I'll do that then. I'll have a look. Right. I'll have a look.
Yeah. If you've got any questions or anything, just drop me an email or a message.
Yeah. Will do. Thanks, Nicola. Cheers. Right. Thank you for that.
I'll leave you all to it this evening. I'm going to get out for my walk now.
Yeah.
And,
bye now.
Yeah, I'll speak to you all soon. All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.